All right. Hey, everyone. Happy Sunday night to you all. Sorry for the late post. I was watching the Bears game against the, the Houston Texans. So that went a little bit later than I thought it was going to go, but I wanted to watch the game nonetheless. But here's what we got. We're going to take a look at really quick what happened with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners last week. We also have news from Bitfarms that they are now hosting with Stronghold. We'll talk about that. Why might that be the reason? And then we'll take a look at some of the smaller miners as well. Argo, Digihost, DMG, and then we'll get into the Bitcoin miners versus Bitcoin this past week, see how they did. We'll get into your guys' Q&A side of things, and we'll call it a day. So it's going to be a late one, but it is what it is, okay? So as always, you guys know the drill here. Not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research. My full disclosure down below. And then if you enjoy this type of content, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. That way you get notified about everything that I have going on. All right, but let's get into really quick what's going on here with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners on Friday here. So Bitcoin has been trending downwards here over the weekend. It's now in the new day for Monday. It's down again a little bit here. So we're kind of wiping out the gains that we had here on, when was this? Friday. Friday we had a nice day on Bitcoin. It was up 4.14%. It was up $2,405.81. It closed at $60,543. And it has since been pulling back over the weekend here, which leads me to believe that maybe tomorrow morning when things really open up in the markets and everything else, it'll pop back up a little bit here. Because if we look at, we won't have any gaps in the CME futures, but you can see that CME futures are way down from where it actually ended up here on it. So I think maybe we'll see a nice little maybe gap up, but we'll see what happens there. Miners for the most part were in the green on Friday, which is nice to see. A couple of miners were in the red here. We had Cypher down, Digihost down a little bit, Mawson down as well, and Wolf down a little bit. The rest of the miners were just up, single digits. DMG was up quite a bit here, 6.85. CORZ was up 7.6 as well, but you guys already know that. So let's really get into just how the network hash rate is acting up right now. We can see here on the 7-day that the network hash rate has been coming down here. It's at 628. Right now we peaked at, 700 or 693 here, exahash on it. And then if we go to the 30-day average, that's been coming down as well a little bit. It is now down to 644 from our peak of 653 exahash. Okay. If we look at Bitcoin and the monthly here so far, this was updated about maybe 10 minutes ago. So we're only down on September so far 1%. Not too bad, right? We might still turn a green month here in September like we did back in 2015 and 2016, where we ended up having 2 months in a row each year going into the green side of things. But we'll see how that happens. Next one here is Bitfarms. So Bitfarms came out with a press release on Friday that they entered into a 10,000 miner hosting agreement with Stronghold Digital Mining. So what might be the reasoning for this? There could be a couple of things here. One is their site in Paraguay might be a little bit delayed from where they were thinking it's going to be, or that they just have the opportunity that they can install the hash rate faster this way, right? And still put in more machines into the other site, possibly getting to a higher exahash, more than 21 exahash potentially, right? They don't state that here, but that's kind of what I'm going with. Those are the kind of two possibilities that are there. But the agreement is to support 2.2 exahash with energization expected in October, 2 months ahead of schedule. Company reiterates 2024 and 25 guidance of 21 exahash. So they're still tracking that for the end of this year, and 35 plus exahash respectively next year. So under the terms of the hosting agreement, Bitfarms will be accelerating the deployment of 10,000 Bitmain T21 miners originally scheduled to come online at the company's Yaguza, Paraguay site in December to Stronghold's Panther Creek site. Energization is anticipated in October 2024 and will bring 2.2 exahash online immediately. Right. Remember that Bitfarms also has, I think it's like close to one exahash of machines that are supposed to be swapped out with Bitmain for being faulty machines. That should be happening this month as well. So we could see them getting to, based on where they are right now, Bitfarms is at 11.3 exahash. If we're looking at 2.2 in October, that gets us to, 13.5 plus another 1 exahash potentially. That gets us to 14.5 here by October sometime, potentially. So that gets us much closer than they need to install. 14.5, they need to install another, what is that? 5.5 exahash, I think, to get to 21 exahash. 5.5 at that point. So that should be doable, but we'll see. They're still looking to get to that target there. The hosting agreement will commence on October 1st and continue for an initial term expiring on December 31st, 2025, so basically a year and 2 months out, after which it will be automatically renewed for additional 1-year periods, but at that time, they may already own Stronghold if the deal goes through the first part of the year of 2025. Unless either party provides written notice of non-renewal. Pursuant to the hosting agreement, Bitfarms will pay Stronghold a monthly fee equal to 50% of the profit generated by Bitfarms. Miners subject to certain monthly adjustments between the parties to account for upfront monthly payment due from Bitfarms to Stronghold in the amount of $210,000 and for taxes and net cost of power associated with the operations of the Bitfarms miners. And remember, this is going to be only for a couple months, basically, if the deal goes through where they're acquiring them sometime in early 2025. In connection with the execution of the hosting agreement, Bitfarms also deposited with Stronghold $7.8 million, equal to the estimated cost of power for the 3 months of operations of the Bitfarms miners, which will be refundable in full to Bitfarms within 1 business day of the end of the initial term expiring on December 31st, 2025. Okay, so it does seem like Stronghold is strapped for a little bit cash here, and Bitfarms is kind of fronting them a little bit just to, I guess, keep them afloat in the meantime at this point. But depending on how you look at it, it could be bad or it could be good, right? The good side of this would be that they get their hash rate up faster instead of waiting towards the end of the Q4 numbers for them, potentially. The bad side of this is maybe there's some issues at the Paraguay site where that might be a little bit delayed. So, okay, depending on how you look at it. I'm looking at it more as a positive because they are still stating that they are planning to get to 21 exahash by the end of the year. So that's kind of where we're at. Okay, so that's it on Bitfarms here. And let's get into some of the smaller miners that we do have here really quick as well. We'll look at those first, and then we'll get into them weekly for the miners here, the ones that we really track all the time. But I've got Argo updated. Digihost and DMG will get Mawson and Sphere 3D along with Stronghold updated next week. I didn't want to go through all of them. Plus, I didn't pull in all the data yet. So I figured we go through the first half. We'll do the other half next week as well. You can see here Argo's got 58 million shares outstanding. Stock price is $1.17. Market cap 67 million, 68 million here. The performance over the last 12 weeks has been actually surprisingly pretty good here, considering some of the other miners that we cover here, which a lot of those guys were actually in the red here on 12 weeks numbers. But they're up 26% from 12 weeks ago. 8 weeks ago, they're up 16%. From 4 weeks ago, they're up 36%. Last week, they're up 10.8%. So they've had a pretty good run up here recently, which I'm surprised that they've been doing that well. And maybe it could be that investors are looking for bargains, and this one does seem to be a bargain right now, potentially from where it's at, but there's reasons for it. Okay, current hash rate 2.7, future hash rate 2.7. They are fully installed right now. You can see their BTC production here has been coming down ever since, May, and ever since really December of last year. Hash rate growth has been pretty much non-existent. It's actually decreased over that time frame. For them in revenue here, they peaked in March of this year at 6.97 million. They're down to 2.28. That's basically 75% decrease from where we were, or maybe not that much. More like a 66% decrease, right? Or 1/3 of where they were before. BTC HODL, can't really see what they HODL anything now. They do have some BTC equivalents that they're stating that they do have there, but it's not much. Hash rate, you can see they peaked at 2.8 exahash. They were there from September 23 through April 2024, and then it's decreased here a little bit in May, and then it's kind of stayed that way throughout. Bitcoin sold, they've been pretty much selling everything that they do mine. BTC per exahash efficiency also pretty low here as well. So they are curtailing as we see that. BTC sold value, well, we can see that as well. Going down here to institutions here, and I need to delete this one because we got one too many here. Bring that back up. Okay, so institutions did decrease here a little bit to 41 institutions now, and the number of shares also decreased a little bit here to 2.95 million from 2.29. And this is basically going back 2 months now on the difference on this. Percentage also is down to 4.68. We still have 3 hold ratings. We now have actually 0 underperform, and we have 1 sell rating for them. Price targets for the high is $1.10, average is $1.03, and the low is $1. They're $1.17. They're actually above the analyst estimates for where they really should be. We'll take a look at my numbers here in a second. Okay, let's see here. They mined, what was it? July, they mined 48 BTC, August 38. Revenue for that was about 3 million for July and 2.2, almost 2.3 million in August on that one. Going down here, I mean, they were operating in July for approximately 21 days and in August for approximately 16.8 days, roughly, more or less. So that's kind of why their efficiency is down a bit there. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Everything that they do own is with Galaxy Digital, and they're hosting with them right now. Galaxy, if you remember, bought out their facility Helios. What was it, last year, I believe it was. So they don't really have any infrastructure right now. But based on where they are right now, I have in between 229 and 343. This is based on the last 3 quarters of data that we have and the current quarter that's estimated right now. But if we use the August numbers for them of revenue multiplied times 12, I have them between $1.18 and $1.76. And that's kind of where they are right now, in between there. So I think that they are actually kind of fairly valued to kind of high valued, actually, based on this. Not a lot of growth, well, not any growth actually for them, right? That's one of the reasons why I moved them to the side, more or less, and them along with Digihost, DMG, Mawson, Sphere 3D, and Stronghold, because they just were not going to get to the 5 exahash, which was going to be kind of my watermark, or the level where they would need to get to in order to continue coverage on them. And yeah, I mean, they're at 2.7 exahash, no future growth going forward. It'll be interesting to see how they actually survive continuing on, I guess you could say. The only thing that's going to really save them is Bitcoin going up to 100, 150,000, 200,000, wherever it might be. That's going to give them more revenue, you could say, at that point. But at a certain point, they're going to have to change out their machines here. If you look at their machines here, they got a lot of these 95, 100 terahash miners, 105 terahash miners. So as the network hash rate continues to go up, they're going to be less and less efficient over time. So I give them maybe another year at most, where they can maybe run on these machines here before they have to swap them out, because the network hash rate difficulty and everything else will be much higher. And depending if Bitcoin goes into another bear market, at that point, they're going to be really hurting at that point. All right, so that's it on Argo here. Let's take a look at Digihost here really quick as well. Digihost right now has 28 million shares outstanding, stock price $1.18, market cap 34 million. They've had I guess you could say, not a great 12 weeks here. They're up only 4.4% from 12 weeks ago. From 8 weeks ago, they're up 6%. From 4 weeks, they're up 4.1%. And last week, they were down 2.76%. Okay, current hash rate about 2 exahash. Future hash rate, they're supposed to get to about 2.8. So they do have a little bit of growth there. They do have potentially some HODL there. I don't know when the last time this was updated. We'll take a look at the numbers down below. But their BTC production has been increasing here, which is nice, and that's only because they got more machines installed here, it seems like. We can see that on the numbers below, but monthly revenue here has been also improving here a little bit, so that's a good sign there at least. They're currently at approximately 2 exahash on their installed machines here. I believe this is for this is for self-mining, I believe. They also do hosting as well, which should not be a part of this. BTC HODL kind of flat here. Last time they reported, I had to look at their probably quarterly numbers to get the most up-to-date data for them. BTC sold. They've been selling pretty much everything they mine. BTC per exahash efficiency actually improved here in August, which is nice to see, but they were down to 14 in July. Bitcoin sold value, how much they sell. Going down here to institutions as well, and I need to delete that one as well. I forgot to do that. Where's it at? Down there. Okay. So institutions did increase here a little bit to 29 institutions now. Shares also increased to 3.4 million, and actually percentage went down to 10.52, meaning that there has been dilution. We still have one buy rating for them. Price target stayed the same, 250 across the board here for the high, average, and low. And then going down here, what did they actually mine here for? Well, they include the numbers for their joint ventures, I think it is, and the hosting in the numbers. So that came out to be a little bit higher than what I'm reporting here. But for the self-mining, I'm calculating about 29.12. And now it's for July, and for August, about 41.25, based on the numbers that we do have for them. And that one, let's see, going down here. In July, I had them running for about 20.7 days. In August, a little bit better, 25.45 days. And that is based on the combination of what they reported as far as the joint venture and the self-mining here, okay? So that's kind of what I'm using for that information. Now, going back up to my numbers here, for the last 3 quarters in the current quarter that's estimated right now, I'm between 285 and 428. They're $1.18. I do think that they're undervalued. Even if we use their August numbers of revenue, times 12, they should be between 257 and 385. So I do believe that they are undervalued right now from where they should be, but there's just not a lot of growth here happening for them, right? Same thing. They only have maybe 800 petahash left to install, roughly. So they seem to be doing okay. We'll look at the quarterly results when I pull those in sometime probably within the next week or two as well for all these guys, which I have to pull that in also. But we can see here the last time that we reported, their numbers weren't actually that bad. But could be better here on the current ratio at least on that one. And then in there, let's see here. Yeah, total current assets was kind of low, 3.36 million, 5.61 at the end of Q3 as well. We'll get those numbers updated for them. But all these small miners need to grow, but it's tough for them to grow because they are so small. Next is DMG here. DMG has 168 million shares outstanding, market cap 62 million. So I think that's the highest market cap between 34 million here. Argo's got, 67. Argo's kind of close. Actually, Argo's a little higher than them, surprisingly, because DMG actually has a little bit more things going on outside of just Bitcoin mining. But the performance here over the last 12 weeks hasn't been great either. They're up only 8.9 from 12 weeks ago, 4.4 from 8 weeks ago, 14.7 from 4 weeks ago. And then last week they were up just slightly, 3.37% on that one. BTC production has been coming down. Their current hash rate is at 1.2. Future hash rate is supposed to get to 2 exahash. So they do have some growth there left. They do have a HODL position, 449. Bitcoin, that's actually, no, that number has changed. I forgot to update it here. 453. Sorry. I knew it was up a little higher than that. 453 is what they last reported here for August. So that brings them up about to 26 million in Bitcoin HODL right now. Like we talked about, the BTC production has been coming down because their hash rate has been kind of flat here. Month over month difference, BTC HODL has been kind of up and down all over the place here for them. BTC exahash kind of down here. So it looks like they are curtailing. BTC sold. They've been pretty, sometimes some months they sell everything that they mine, it looks like, and then others partially of that. Hash rate here, you can see that they've been at 1.2 exahash for a long time. They're actually reporting like 990 some on average at petahash. I'm using the amount that they reported as having installed. Revenue has been coming down as well, about a third of where it's been at the peak at 3.37 million here for Bitcoin mining. Hash rate difference, not much difference here over the last couple months, more than a couple months actually. Bitcoin sold value, how much they've been selling here. Going down here to the institutions and analysts side of things, institutions did decrease here a little bit to 9. Shares actually increased to 2.7, and percentage also went up to 1.61%. This time around, we don't have any analyst ratings for them as far as buy or hold, so we don't have any data for them. So that's a decrease, I guess you could say, on that side of things. All right, looking at the miners here, let's see, or production. So they reported 22 in July Bitcoin mined, 21 in August, with the numbers of 1.3 million and 1.2 million roughly. And that gave us to the mining for about 22 days in July and 21 days in August here on average on that one. Okay. Going up here, we can see that I have in between 52 cents and 78 cents based on the last 3 quarters, current quarter, which is estimated. And then if we look at the last month's numbers times 12, I have in between 31 cents and 47 cents. So they do appear to be kind of fairly value based on that. All right, that could change with Bitcoin going up in value, which would give them more revenue potentially as well. Same goes for all these miners here actually, but you know, these are the smaller miners, and that's why I put them into the smaller miners category, where we don't really track them as heavily as we do some of the other miners that are growing beyond 5 exahash and actually growing much higher than that. Some of them are growing to like 50 exahash. So these guys are definitely small when it comes to things. Now, could they still do pretty well if Bitcoin goes up in value? Could they, the stock move? Yeah, the stock could move, but was it going to be moving more so than some of the other miners? I don't think so at that point. Okay. So that's it on the small miners. We'll get into the other ones next week as well. We'll cover those just to kind of make sure we cover everything. Everything that we wanted to cover there with them, just to kind of keep you guys up to date on what's going on with them as well. Okay, let's get into the weekly here on the miners here now. So these are the top miners, right? There's about 12 of these guys here, like Bitfarms, Cleanspark, Cypher, BitDigital, CORZ, Marathon, Riot, all those bigger guys, right? TeraWolf and everything else in the middle there. But here's how the miners stack up here in the last 52 weeks from their bottoms. So these are the, I guess these are blue-gray bars, and then how far away the miners are from the 52-week highs down here. So we can still see that TeraWolf is doing really, really well. It's up 376%. That is mostly due to the hype around the HPC AI. There's some swirling news, potentially. It's not really news. I would say it's more of a rumor that they're going to be getting an HPC AI customer. There's also been some notable investors into TeraWolf here recently. That's spiked the price up as well. So that's the main reason for that's performance, I believe. Core is at 328% up from its 52-week lows here. And Core is mainly due to them getting the CoreWeave contract, for the next 12 years, basically. And then we got Cleanspark being up 177%, IREN up 171%, BitDeer 148%, Bitcoin's only up 132% right now. So all these guys have outperformed Bitcoin here in the 52 weeks. These ones down below underperformed here. Bitcoin a little bit. Marathon's down only 125%. Bitfarms 122%. Hut 81%. BitDigital 63%. Cypher 43%. Hive 41%. And Riot has far underperformed everybody else here. They're only up 13% from their 52-week lows. Not a great run for them here this past year, basically. Now, when we look at the miners here for the past week as well, we can see here that where's Bitcoin here? Bitcoin is actually towards the end here. Bitcoin's up 12% last week. Everybody here, for the most part, outperformed Bitcoin. The couple exceptions here are BitDeer and Hut 8 did like a 2x on top of Bitcoin did. Even maybe you could say Marathon almost. Then we got Core at 20%, Hive at 19%, IREN at 17%, BitDigital and Cleanspark at 16%, Cypher at 14%, along with Bitfarms, TeraWolf at 14% also, and Riot only 13%. So if you look at Riot, 13%, a lot of that was just gained back here in the last week. Otherwise, it would have been like at 0% gains here. So it's kind of interesting to see that as well. Then when we look at the 4 weeks, things definitely changed at that point. Bitcoin's only down 5% from 4 weeks ago. And all the miners except for Core have done actually worse than Bitcoin here. So of course the only exception here in the 4 weeks time frame. We're looking at the 8 weeks. We can see Bitcoin is only down 11%. So now we have TeraWolf doing better along with Core. Everybody else has done far worse. The ones that have done the worst are Cleanspark down 45% and Cypher down 47%. And then we got on the 12 weeks, we can see Bitcoin at that point is pretty much flat. And we see that TeraWolf is up 2%, BitDigital is up 9% from there, and Core is up 25%. Everybody else has done far worse. Worst performer here in the last 12 weeks has been Cleanspark. And Cleanspark, I think it's with them coming out, they are doing the additional shares being added to the company from 300 million to 600 million. So that's putting down pressure on the stock, I believe, from where it's at right now, actually. Okay, looking at it here on the chart. Not really the chart, but the table. We can see we had 2 full on red weeks here, whereas this week we had pretty much everybody was in the green here, which was nice. We had a nice rebound on it. We'll see where this week takes us. We're not starting out great right now. Bitcoin being down on the new day for Monday as well. But you can see how everything else kind of stacks up there as well. Okay, so that is it. That is the update. Let's see if you guys have any questions or anything like that. We'll get into your guys' Q&A from now. But as always, Patreon members get access to all these spreadsheets, so I will update those ladies and gentlemen there. Probably not tonight. Tonight's going to be too late. It's already almost midnight here where I'm at. So we'll probably do that tomorrow. I'll update the small miners and the large miners spreadsheets for the Patreon members there. And if you want access to all the information that I do have on these guys, that is only $8 a month. You might be able to find a couple spots that are 5 or 4 in those tiers as well. And regardless of which tier you get into, you have access to all the stuff here. Okay, but that is it. So description for that is in the link to this is in the description below the video as always. All right, so let's see here. Turn that off. All right, let's get into Q&A side of things here. See if you guys have any questions. I know it's late, so there might not be much going on here, but let's see if we have anything. Okay. Let's see. Jeff says, hit the likes, everyone. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Roger says, how is hash rate continuing to grow if even the public miners with access to ways of raising capital are still struggling? Well, they place a lot of orders in advance, right? If you recall, a lot of these guys bought machines going back now probably 6-9 months back, sometimes maybe even longer than that. And they have those on order and they got to come in. So those are coming in. Also, remember the miners that I track here, at least the large ones, they right now have about 26% of the market share of Bitcoin network hash rate. There's still 74% of the miners that I don't track out there in the world that could be, buying machines as well. More likely they are. So that's why that's having an impact on that also. Super Diagnostics asks, question, what do you know about Applied Digital? Apparently they have NVIDIA funding approved for HPC data center hosting larger than CoreWeave deal. I don't know if it's larger for that. I believe they got, what was it, 150, 180 some million in funding from them and somebody else as well, from NVIDIA. But I don't know if they have more than Core does. I'll have to look into that. Let's see. Do you think the miners purposely overshot their end of year exahash targets? No. It looks like Cleanspark's going to be actually improving theirs from 32 exahash to 37 exahash, right? So they didn't overshoot. They're actually guiding for higher. Originally, when IREN also did for their 20 exahash, they're overshooting that to 30 exahash this year. So I don't think so. I don't think it would be purposeful. It's never good to be purposely wrong on your targets, because that's bad on them. And it also means that investors are less likely to trust them going forward. So they all want to really try and meet their targets here. Let's see. Red Star. Let's see. Thank you so much. Will the rate cuts affect mining electricity costs? No, that will not affect it. Victor C. Question. Once Cleanspark approves the increase of shares, how does it impact the price of stock? Thanks. It shouldn't really until they actually use an ATM, or if they get a new ATM, right? That's the only time that would impact it, when they sell shares basically through the ATM. The impact that this has, the 300 million to 600 million, does not mean that they're going to use it all up at once within like the next 6 months to a year. If you look at historically, at least for them, over the last 3 years, I think it took them like 3 years to sell like 200 million shares. So if you just think about that, where the stock price was back then, much lower from where it is right now, or when they were diluting here recently, but if the stock goes up higher, they're going to be diluting less. So I would expect the next 300 million to be possibly diluted in like the next 5 to 7 years instead of like the next 3 to 4 years. That's at least my thoughts on it. They have a much better HODL position. They have much more cash. They have just a much healthier balance sheet in general, which I think would lead to less dilution going forward, potentially. Okay. Excuse me. Why did BitDeer increase the most last week? Could they have something on the horizon? They could, possibly, right? We know that they're working on HPC as well. We know that they are building out infrastructure. They have huge pipeline potential going forward, but a lot of it is not until like the middle to end of next year and into 2026 as well. They also have their own seal miners, A6 coming out, right? The seal miner A1, I believe it's called, coming out here in Q4. Then they got the seal miner A2 coming out like in Q1 or Q2 of next year, and then they're just, iterating, improving on those as time goes on. So there is still a lot of opportunity there. I wish they would just have more growth here in like the end of this year and like the first half of next year, because we don't really know where Bitcoin is going to go after that, as far as where could the top be, where could we get and start getting into a bear market. And if their growth is mostly into the end of 2025 and into 2026, well, we could be heading into a bear market at that point. But yeah, anything could really... it could also be catching a little bit of a bid, maybe being down quite a bit from where it was. Could be anything. Barra says it's 12:40. Yeah, Eastern time for you. Yeah, I know it's late. Let's see. Do you think Mara will be the first miner that its price will exponentially increase? I don't know if it's going to be the first one. I mean, we've seen already some of the miners here outperform Marathon. We've seen it with Core. We've seen it with TeraWolf as well. We've seen Cleanspark at a certain point as well. I mean, Cleanspark is still outperforming it. So I don't know. That's a tough one. I know that they're going to be getting probably to 50 exahash this year, which is kind of what they're guided for. But I don't know. They do have a huge HODL position as well. That could be a benefit to it as well. So they have quite a few good things going for them. Let's see here. Gerard, I think that's how you pronounce it, Gerard. Hi, Seb, I love your work on this. Greetings from Germany. Well, greetings to you. It's probably morning to you guys right now. What is it? Yeah, it's almost like 6 o'clock in the morning for you guys. So thanks for tuning in, definitely. I got some family in Germany. Let's see. Since Q4 is getting closer, do you think all the miners that haven't had an increase in ATM will have one to prepare for the 2025 growth plans? I think Bitfarms might be next. Bitfarms still has theirs. I think they're fully funded to 21 exahash right now. Yeah, they're fully funded to 21 exahash. Beyond that, they're probably going to have to dilute some more, but so will all the other miners. Riot, Marathon, Cleanspark, IREN. If they want to grow, then yeah, they'll have to do that. Unless they start selling some of their HODL, the ones that do own HODL. Can Bitfarms at least do 15 USD this cycle? I think it's possible. I think it should be a double from where it is right now to be fairly valued compared to its peers. So I do think it is possible for them to do that this cycle. But Bitcoin's going to go to like 150,000 plus at that point. I'm not sure what you're referring to and what you think about it. Not sure what you're referring to there. Or let me see if I have one from you here earlier. I don't see one from you earlier. So I'm not sure what you're actually referring to. Let me see if we have anything else pop up. Looks like we are caught up with your guys' questions, which is understandable. It's late. We'll continue this on possibly tomorrow. See where things takes us. Tomorrow's Monday. We'll look at some other metrics that we do have for the miners as well, like we always do, based on the latest quarterly results that we have for them, the monthly results as well. Let's see. Okay. I think, let me see if I can pop this up here. Let's see here. Shared, is that their press release about Marathon? Is that their, what, Aridine? Is that what you're talking about? Aridine? Aduro is another product that they have there, I think, as well. Not sure. I have not seen that press release. So we'll have to see on that one. What else we have? Do you think BTC breaks down or up? I think it's going to go up. More so in October and November than I do think in September. I think September is going to be like a flat month. We might eke out just a quick green one. Oh, a little bit of a green there on that one. Gerard, thanks so much for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. But yeah, that is it, right? So we'll see what happens tomorrow, guys. We'll talk about it more. We'll do an earlier show tomorrow, probably closer to like 9 o'clock, 9:30, something like that. And then we'll call it a day. And then we got a couple more here coming in here. Let's see if we can answer a couple more. What else do we have? Do you expect a rise or a fall in BTC price after the September 18th projected rate cuts by the rumor and sell the news? I actually expect a increase or rise in Bitcoin. I think that's more of a risk-on move than anything else, especially if we lower them now in September. Then we're going to lower them probably, another 6 weeks, I think, is the next time the Fed is meeting. Make another lower rate there as well, but we'll see. How high can Hive go? Gosh, I don't know. Depending where Bitcoin goes, 3x, I would expect Hive to do at least a 3x there, maybe a little bit more, but yeah. Okay, why is Bitcoin tanking right now? This is very concerning as it broke below support this weekend. Well, okay, let's take a look at where it's at right now. It's not really, it's down a little bit here on the daily. That's not, is that Bitcoin? That's Bitcoin. That's CME future stuff. But yeah, it's been breaking down here over the weekend here a little bit. I didn't want that one. I wanted this one. It's been breaking down a little bit, coming back down to where we were basically the start of Friday, where we bounced nicely. So I expect this to kind of bounce down and then bounce back up, maybe. As long as our support holds at 57,500, I think we might be okay at that point. But we'll see. Let's see what else do we have here. How high can IREN and Digital can go at 150 USD for Bitcoin? IREN I expect to be closer to like $80. Maybe it has to be a little bit more than 150,000 for Bitcoin. Digital is a tough one because they're not being valued on their infrastructure, which they don't have any infrastructure. They're not being valued on their mining or their really HPC business, so it's a tough one for them. That one I would say it should follow Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes 3x. They should do at least like a 4 to 5x from where they are right now. Andre, you're very welcome. Let's see. Historically, rate cuts cause markets to drop, but not always. Yeah. Let's see here. What else? I can't pronounce your name, so I do apologize. Looks like someone is purposely holding BTC value down. Could be. Sebastian, do you drink? What's your favorite drink? So if I do have a drink, it's usually alcohol, vodka with like cranberry and water diluted. So that way, so it's not so sweet. Okay, what else here? Himanashi, thank you so much for the super chat or super sticker. Okay. How do you calculate IREN at $80 at 150,000 BTC? From where it's at right now, right, and their growth going forward, I would expect them to be at least, so if Bitcoin goes up, let's just say 3x, I would expect them to do at least 2x on top of that. So we're looking to be between like 5x on it where it's at right now to maybe a little bit higher because of where it's been pulled back also. So that's kind of where I'm thinking. But you're probably going to need Bitcoin to be at like 180,000 at that point, right? It's not going to be 150,000. 150,000, I would guess somewhere between $50 and like $60 maybe for it. Okay. All right. We're going to call it a day here, everyone, because it's getting late and I need to get to work tomorrow also. So we got a couple more coming in here on this. What do we got here? Okay, talked about that. Sadie, you're very welcome. Pero, quick thoughts on Bitfarms Riot debacle. What is your current sentiment? I think that Bitfarms will continue to be its own company. We have the meeting coming up in November 6th. Shareholders vote at that point, which is going to be interesting to see how that goes. I'm guessing maybe that the shareholders will not vote for the board member that Riot wants to put in there. At that point, I think maybe Riot would step back and go, okay, this is not working for us, and back away. But that's always tough to say. Song W says, Seb, if Bitcoin doesn't hold above 60,600 by midnight Sunday, we are screwed. Well, we are well below that since it's past midnight. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we were screwed because of it didn't hold there. I think we're just trading sideways right now. September historically isn't a great month for us anyways. If we can squeak out at least a small green on the month, that would be great. Let's see. Why has every multicultural society that's ever existed collapsed? Don't know. I didn't know that there was even such a metric on this, or that there were multicultural societies and why they could collapsed. I'm not a historian, so I don't know. All right, we're going to call it a day before we get down into the weeds too much. But thank you so much for coming in, everyone. Thank you so much for the super stickers and the super chats and everything else. I hope you guys have a great week ahead. We'll see what happens. We got, the Fed lowering rates this week. We'll see how that's going to play out and everything else. I'm still bullish. I bought, I forgot to mention, I bought last week, Friday, I bought some more. I bought Cleanspark, IREN, and Bitfarms again. I put in basically a couple thousand into it, did a split, and even split on those guys as far as how much money I put into it. So I did buy that. I forgot to mention that. I did put that out for my Patreon members, and I think I put that out on Twitter as well. So if you guys are following me there, you probably saw that as well. All right, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll get into some other metrics, data, whatever we might have available to us, and we'll get into any news stories that we have as well. All right, so I wish you guys a great week. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.